Okay. So there's one more thing that I want to get sort of set up in the round starting and game starting phase. And that's just to tell the user that like the application is in demo mode and to press the space key to actually start the game. We're also going to set it up so that space only takes effect once it's reached the game starting or later phases. So we'll set that up now. Let's go into the player controller here. And so here's our space. Right now it's pretty simple. It just calls the on player join, and all we're going to do is get our game mode. Actually, sorry, let's get our game state, not game mode. And we will cast it to our custom one that we've created for Paddle War here. And we'll drag released into that. And dragging off this, we will get the game phase. And we'll do our switch. And what we'll do, given that we're in our player controller, is we can figure out if we have controlled pawn or not. So what we'll do is look at the so we're going to get the controlled pawn, and we can just do a cast to check if it's actually real or not. So we will cast it to a BP paddle pawn. So we'll go here, and basically all of these are going to go into this, except loading. And if it isn't, we will call on player join. That will prevent the player from triggering the on join stuff more than once. Yeah. Bring it in nicely like this. Yeah, looking good. So now, if we play our game and hit space while it says Paddle War, the control scheme doesn't yet work. It doesn't work until it does the ready, set, go. And then the other thing that we actually want to do is when we call this on player joined, we're actually going to reset the game as well, so that the player can start and the countdown begins fresh. And so the way that we need to do that is, now if it's in game starting, it's not going to reset, which is fine. But all the other ones will reset. So we'll get our game mode. Cast it to our Paddle War game mode. You're probably starting to notice a pattern with this objects being accessed. You're pretty much always going to cast it to whatever your custom one is. And from here, we will call our update game phase. And we're going to basically set it to game starting. So what does that do? Let's see. If we play, and we'll just wait for the AI to take over here and do it sort of back and forth. Oh, it's not going to do back and forth, but it's running. So now I'm going to hit space, and the game has reset. And now I'm in control. Okay? Alright. Now, one more thing we want to do in this player controller is that we only want to allow the paddle to move when we're in the round started phase. And when we're in round starting, we'll actually move the paddles back to 0. Well, I guess like we could allow the paddles to move during round starting, but in any case, so okay, we'll allow them to move during these two, and not during these two, and not during loading. So let's grab our whole game state setup here. We'll bring it down here, move this out. And actually, you know what, we can, maybe we'll connect it to, nah, we'll just move this whole thing out. So we'll bring this in here. There. And we'll just drag that to there. And yeah, we'll only allow the paddle to move during these two. So okay, so that's looking good. So now in our HUD, we want to basically inform the user if they're not playing yet that they need to press space to actually join the game. So let's grab our trusty draw texts here. We'll just do a copy of those. We'll bring it over here, maybe somewhere like here. Remember to drag in our XY coordinates so our text doesn't disappear on us. Alright, what we're going to do in this one, actually, you know what, maybe for the moment we'll just drag it out here just so we're not in the middle of everything while we make this thing. And so basically all we're going to need to do is, let's get our controller. So right click and type control. And we'll get player controller. And from the player controller, we're going to get the controlled on. And off of this, we will cast it to our Paddle War pawn. And this cast is important. I mean, like, we could just do an is valid, but just in case the default pawn somehow stuck around or is attached or some other pawn gets attached, it's just better to do it this way. So what we're going to actually do is in game starting and in round starting and in round started and in round completed and in game complete, we're going to want to do this test, and then basically we'll just bring it and have these come back into this chain of events here. But what we're going to do with this is, if it is there, we're going to draw, or sorry, if it isn't there, once again, this is an isn't, not an is. If the cast fails, what we're going to do is draw our text, and it's going to say demo mode, press space to play. And position wise, we'll probably put it somewhere like 150 might be. Let's do like -200 and see what happens. I'm just gonna leave the other stuff unchecked for now and just see what happens with that. Yeah, so it's right there. So we probably want to bring it down. And we'll definitely want to move it over quite a bit. So let's move it over, like, let's say -350. And we're going to want to go down more. We'll go 300. We're going the wrong way on X. Try that. Closer. Now again, we could just use the in-game text, but I don't want to go beyond, oops. Sorry, that should be -350. I don't want to go beyond 400 really, because let's just make the scale smaller. Let's do that. So we'll say 390 with a smaller scale. I don't want to get too hung up on UI stuff in this one. Yeah, I think that's fine. Pretty close. Okay, so what we'll do now is basically take what we've got here, and we'll move it, I don't know, somewhere in here. To move this stuff out. Even more. And it'll just go in there. So now, when we play, we'll get our demo mode. Now we know that it's in demo mode, and when we hit space, it's going to reset on us. That didn't work properly. Oh, right, because this has to go into there. Okay, there we go. Game resets, and we're back into gameplay. Okay, so now that we're into the point where we can do gameplay, we'll do the randomization of the ball and its starting position. And how we'll do that is, so we're going to go into our map here, the map blueprint, and we already have a reference to the ball, which is perfect. Let's actually move that under like that. And so when we enter round started, what we're going to do is set a random vertical location for the ball first. So let's take this and we're going to set actor location. We'll move this stuff kind of down. Might need space in here. Okay, so we'll set a new location. And coming off the new location, we will make a vector. And coming off the Z vector, we're going to do a random float in range. And our range will be, let's say, our total is 600. We don't want to spawn it like too close to the boundaries though. So let's say the range is between -200 and 200. That should be a pretty good range. We could even do 250 just to give it a bit more range. Make it a bit more random. So now when we start the game here, you can see our ball randomly appeared up at the top, and of course the AI went up to follow it. Let's go back to our map. And actually, you know what? We're gonna take this actor hidden in game stuff, and we're actually gonna move it to the other side. So ball can come over here. And we're gonna actually set the location first before making stuff visible. And we'll break that connection there with hold Alt and click, and it'll break the connection. And we'll duplicate this ball so that it's nice and clean and you can see what's going on. We're not going to keep it attached all the way over there. And this just makes sure that we don't like end up seeing the ball briefly in its origin position before it's shown. So let's compile that. So it's the same thing, we're not going to test it. And so now we want to basically set a random direction. And we want the random direction to be, we want to either basically get a left or a right, like -1 or 1. But we're dealing with a rotation. So a value of, let's say, we could do a random like float in range, like of 0 and 1, and then linear interpolate it to the rotation. That might be one way that we could go about getting it. And that might work pretty well actually. Let's right click here and we're going to do random int. And if we do a random integer, we'll get either a 0 or a 1. So the max is 1. Or sorry, it's max minus 1. So it's between 0 and max minus 1. So we want a max of 2 because we actually want a choice of between 0 and 1. And then we're going to right click and type lerp. And we'll drag that into the alpha value. You'll remember a lerp from our material. Very similar. You can use them in blueprints as well. And so basically, if if the value is 0, we're gonna give it a rotation of 180. And if the value is 1, we'll just leave the rotation as is, basically. So we're gonna make a copy of our ball here. We'll drag off this, set rotation. And so we'll come off this and we go make rot. And just to make sure we get our rotation right, let's take a look at what the ball currently has for a rotation. So it has a 90-degree rotation by default on X, and that's so that we could get the forward vector to be facing the paddle. So it actually should be basically 90 and 270 should be our values. So let's go to our map here. So we're actually going to make this 270 degrees, and we'll make this one 90 degrees. And this is going to go into our roll, which is the Z value. We'll put this one underneath. Okay. And then finally what we're going to do is within the ball here, we might have to actually listen for state changes. So let's do that. We'll just set up the bind. So we'll copy this from our map in event begin play. Just hit Control C to copy. Let's go over to the ball, and in the ball we'll hit Control V and paste it. Drag from begin play, and we can just drag it up a little bit here and then drag off event and add custom event for dispatcher, and we'll call this on our event on game phase changed. And we know the drill here. We're going to drag off new phase and do a switch. Alright, and so basically on state changes we might want to either start or stop the ball. So for instance, like when we do a game starting, we want to reset the ball position and stop the ball. So we're going to first of all drag in the ball direction, and we're going to hit set. And we're going to set it to nothing, so it's not going in any direction. The next thing that we're going to do is set the ball's rotation as well. So we'll set the rotation, and basically we're just going to set it back to default, which is 90 on Z. And we need to set the ball's location as well to be 0, 0, 0. Not get. Yeah, set actor location 0, 0, 0. So that's sort of our game starting reset. Actually, we could just put this into round starting as well. And then with round started, this is where we want to, that's where we've done our rotation. So round started will set our rotation. So we basically just need to give it a random direction. But the direction is actually derived from the rotation. So the only thing that we actually have to do is give it a direction, which is forward on X. So we're actually going to take this set here. With round started, we're going to set it forward on X1. So this should work now. It should randomly pick a spot and then start going in one direction or the other. It went one way, that's for sure. Where did our ball go? Did it zoom off in a different direction? Yeah. Wrong one. Oh, haha. I have a 0. That's why. Oh, I'm putting it into the wrong one. They don't have it in the right order in this version of Unreal. Right. Ah, I totally forgot about that. No wonder it wasn't working. Okay, there we go. Sometimes going back to old software is fun. There we go. Okay, so now let's see if we actually do get this random start position and direction. So that time it went positive. That time it went negative. This time, negative. This time, positive. Alright, very nice. So let's try actually playing with all of these changes now. So we're in demo mode, gonna hit space. Alright, now we're in the game. And we'll probably want to like make the ball a little bigger maybe, and make it faster. You know, still set up for easy mode right now to focus on gameplay development. Alright, with our round structure sort of out of the way, we can focus now on updating our scoring and handling when scoring happens. So to update our score, the way we'll do it is, let's go to our map, and we'll kind of drive it from here since the actors are a member of the map. What we need to do is, let's add a new function so that we can kind of call this whenever we need to. And we're going to call this update player scores. And for the description of this one, we can just say it is read the current scores and display them. should be fine. Again, it won't be pure because we're going to actually be modifying stuff. We don't need any inputs or outputs. And really all that we need to do in this, if we go to our actual map here and select our two texts, we can bring them in now as a reference. So let's add reference to selected actors. We're also going to need the game state so that we can read the current score. So we'll do that and cast it to our Paddle War game state. We'll move those down there. And now that we have our game state, we can just get the player scores. So we'll get the player 1 score. We'll get the player 2 score. And under player 1, we will search for text, and we will get the text render. We can just move that up like that and drag off that. Once again, search for text and you'll get a set text, and we're going to execute this, and the value will be the player 1 score, which it'll create a conversion to a string for us, which is perfect. And we'll just kind of bring this down like that. Maybe swap these around. I like to keep stuff a little organized if I can. Yeah, so just like that. And we'll do the exact same thing with the other one. So we can drag off here, and we'll get the text render. Drag off there, and we can set text. Can drag into this one. Sort of like that. And then we will just drag into, drag into there and bring that under. Alright, so there's our update text function. We'll just sort of save everything here, and now if when we do our text update, let's go into our event graph. And where did we reset our guys? Was that in game mode? Yeah. So now what we'll do is in our map, when we're doing the game starting, we're going to update player scores. We're also going to update player scores when a round completes. So we can drag off that. Okay. And so really the only other thing that we need is the ability to detect when a player has actually scored. And so what we'll do is go back to our map here. Actually, hold on. First, let's select our 2 score zones. Or we'll start with the first one because we need to detect each individually. So let's select player 1 score zone here. And we can go back to our map. Right click. And we're going to add event for player 1 score zone. And under collision, we're going to look for the actor begin overlap. We're going to take the other actor here and we're just going to cast it to our ball just to ensure that what actually collided is the ball. And if it is, we're going to get our game state. And we'll set that to our paddle game state. Drag off that. I can compile that. Okay. And then once we have our game state here, we're gonna set the player 2 score. Because we're in the player 1 score zone means that the player 2 scored. And then so to figure out what this is going to be, we're just going to take the current score. So we'll do an integer plus integer off the player 2 score here. We're going to grab off the top one and get the player 2 score. Or sorry, we'll have to grab off of this one here. Player 2 score. We'll get that. And we're going to kind of... maybe we'll do the bottom one. We'll do like this. Plug it into the bottom one, and on the top we'll put +1. And then once this is complete, we're going to get our game mode here. And cast that to our paddle game mode. And coming off the paddle game mode, we're going to update the game state, or the game phase. And we're going to say that the round is now complete. So what's going to happen when a score happens is the round will complete and it should update the score. Of course, the AI probably isn't going to score on each other right now due to how it's configured, so we're going to hit space and we're just going to allow the AI to score on us here. And there we go, the AI has gotten a point. Let's hop back into our game mode graph. And we have our event on game phase changed. Now when we hit round complete, what we either want to do is start the next round, or we want to go to game complete depending on if the player has reached like a max score, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to get our game state here. Actually, we can just copy here. We've got our game state cast and everything ready to go. So let's do that, and when we hit the round complete, we're going to check if either player has a score that is equal to 10. So we're going to get the player 1 score. We'll get the player 2 score. And we'll do a greater than or equals comparison. I mean, it'll probably never be greater than, but just to cover all our bases here, just in case something happens. And we'll put 10 in each of these. Now, we could make all this stuff configurable, and if I do another video, we can do that in that video. And basically, we're just going to check OR here. So if either one is greater than or equal to 10, then we've completed the game. And we're going to update the game phase. Sorry, we need to do a branch first. Getting ahead of myself. Branch. If it's true, we're going to update the game phase. And we will set the game phase to game complete. Otherwise, we're going to update the game phase. And we'll set it to round starting. And for the moment, we'll off of game complete here. We're just going to restart the game, but we'll add some more logic later on. But this is just for the purpose of allowing the loop to continue, so we don't have to like stop and start and stop and start. So we're gonna update the game phase here. And we're gonna set this to game starting. Alright, let's play and allow the CPU to score. It's 1 point. There we go, it resets. So now the reset is obviously, you know, immediate. We're gonna want to be like, yeah, player 1 or player 2 wins, something like that. And so that's what we'll do next. And we'll actually drive that from the HUD the same way that we kind of drive the countdown. So let's go ahead and delete this update here. And hop over to our HUD object. And basically, before we do this countdown thing. And we should really just be doing the countdown during the round starting. So you know what we're actually going to do? We're going to drag off round starting. We're going to make this a sequence. We'll disconnect that. We'll disconnect that. And we will make the sequence connect into that. That should pretty much solve that issue there. So we can move this forward. And actually maybe move it down a bit. Kind of like that. Yeah. So we'll do basically the same thing. So on game complete, we'll drag off this and we'll do a sequence as well. Maybe move this up just a tiny bit. We'll need the space. And we'll grab one of our draw texts here. Fine, we'll remember to connect the screen size. This one vertically, I'm going to have like basically dead center. I'm not sure yet on the... probably a bit more than that, maybe 350. But anyway, the what we're going to draw is you know, something like player wins, you know, that type of thing. Yeah, so we want the append string. We're going to do this to another append string. This is going to be player space. This one will be space wins. With an exclamation mark. And in this one here, we're going to need our game state. Let's grab it here. So we'll actually go to this. We'll go to this. And this is going to get the... two scores. Get the player 2 score. We'll type select. We're going to select int. So we'll put A and B. We're going to pick A if A is larger than B. Do that. And the return will go into B. It'll create a conversion. Yeah, something like that. And then we get this. This can go under here. And then this is going to go into there. Kind of like that. So let's drag this out, maybe over here. Drag this out, maybe right here. Yeah, something like that. And so now when we come into the on game phase changed, we're going to once again set our start time. And actually we're gonna reset the start time when we hit round complete. And then we're going to reset it to the time like that when it is time for game complete. So then in event tick on game complete, the first thing that we're going to do is check if start time is not 0. And we're going to check if this, actually just delete this start time and we'll put that into there. We're going to check if this is, we'll say greater than or equal to, yeah, we'll say greater than, maybe 2 seconds is probably fine. We're going to put a and, so they both have to be true. And then coming off of this, we'll put a branch. This is where we will do the update game phase. And we will set it to game starting. Alright, so let's see what happens now. We'll let the CPU win. You know, we'll just move the paddle up to the top there. Oh, we're not counting down our rounds anymore. I think I broke that part. Let's go back to the HUD. Is it the reset? Oh, it might be the reset. I bet you it's the reset. We'll try deleting that. We'll see what happens. Alright, so we get our initial countdown. Let's see if we get more. Yeah, okay, there we go. Our stuff isn't disappearing though. Why is that? Oh, because it should be under round starting, not game starting. Obviously. but the update player score should be in game starting. I mean, it could be in round starting too, it really doesn't matter, but we're doing it in round ending, so we'll see if that helps. Okay, so it disappears now, everything resets. Text goes away. See if it works after a score. Yes, it does. Oh, player 10. How did that work? Why did it put player 10? Oh, because I put the score. Oops. Okay, hold on. Close. Almost close. Almost close. So actually, all I have to do here, instead of putting the score in, we're just going to put the number of the player. So if it's player 1, player 2. There we go. Total brain fart here. Alright. Now we gotta sit through the whole game again. Okay. Looking really good. So now the one thing that I think that we should put is the ability for the player to trigger the next round. But honestly, I think for a first video, this is good. So next, let's add a little sound to the game so that it's not completely silent. There is a little like sort of click sound that the engine has that would work okay for the sort of paddle whacking. So let's actually go into the ball here. And when we add our actor rotation, we'll basically play a sound as well. So let's select this execution here. Let's just say play sound at location is fine. Location 0 is good. And let's go and open the engine options and hit select click. It'll be the first option. Now we'll be able to change some volume and things like that too, but I don't think we get any attenuation by default, no. So yeah, that looks fine like that, and we will take that and throw that into exec. So let's see what happens now. So now we got some nice sound. And the default volume's okay too. I think that's alright. Let's actually make it sound when it bounces off the blocking volumes as well. So we'll just duplicate this. Throw that here, do it after that set as well. Let's see how that works. Yeah, it's a lot nicer. Yeah, looking good, but the CPU is basically unbeatable right now. But that's because the ball isn't going fast enough, and we're going to add some like modifiers to how the CPU tracks the ball, and make it potentially like miss, and we'll also speed up the ball for every paddle hit as well. So eventually the ball like sort of hits a max speed, and that's why we called it base speed. So that'll be what we set up next. Okay, let's go into... We'll go into the HUD and actually increase the timeout on the change here in our event tick. Let's actually make the timeout 3 seconds so the winner shows a little bit longer. And so the next thing that we want to do, let's just close all these tabs because really we're coming up on the end here. And so there's two ways that we're going to make this game a little bit more engaging. And the first way is that we're going to increase the ball speed sort of as the game progresses. And then we'll reset it at the beginning of the round. And so with our on game phase change, actually first let's create our variables here. So we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to call this one ball speed. We can actually we'll call it just speed, and we'll make this a float. We'll say it is the current ball speed, and the category where we'll put it is data, and the range should basically be the same as our base speed. So we have a maximum of 800, so 0 to 800. We'll make this also 0 to 800. And we should make them the same default. Now I'm going to increase the default a bit, and instead of 250, we're going to go with 280. And I believe the paddles go at 200, so the ball should be quite a bit faster than the paddles now. And we'll default our speed as well to 280. And we'll create one more variable. We're going to call this one max speed. And we will make this one editable, and we'll say the maximum potential speed. We'll expose it on spawn. We'll put it under the config directory, also 0 to 800. And we'll say that the max speed the ball can reach is 400. Okay. So now that we have those configured, when a round is starting, we want to reset the speed to the base speed. So we're going to do that there. And every time that we hit a paddle, which is over here, sort of the same time that we play this sound, we're going to want to increase the current speed by like 10%, let's say. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag in speed, we're going to set it here. dragging off speed, we're going to search for clamp. And we'll put float. And the minimum should be base speed. Oop. The maximum will be max speed. And the value is going to be speed times value of, let's say, 1.05 will increase by 5% every time. So something like that. So we'll drag this execution into here. This one can go into here. So now the ball is going to gradually speed up every time a paddle hits it. And we'll see that effect here. And it's also going to start faster. No, it's not, because we haven't actually used that speed in place of base speed. So in the event tick here where we have base speed, we're going to delete base speed and bring speed in instead. There we go. Okay, now it will. So quite a bit faster. And as you can see, with each hit, it's getting even faster. Now I'd like to see how quickly the ball is accelerating in speed. So let's actually just do a print on the current speed here. We'll just drag that into there. I'm just curious to see exactly how fast we're going here. How fast do we get to 400, and what does 400 look like? So let's actually maybe make this 1.02. And we'll set our max speed to 500. So a bit more range. I think that's a fine setup there for speed. Now let's go look at the AI controller. And when we do this, we're actually going to do a sweep there. so that it doesn't go off the game board like it's been doing. And the final sort of touch that we're going to do here is every time that it sort of resets itself, that it like encounters the ball, we're going to sort of add like an offset to the target position. And that should just kind of help vary the AI a bit and make it a little bit more fallible. So what we're going to do is add a new variable. We'll make it a float. And we're going to call it offset. We'll say that this is the offset applied to the target destination. And we will put it under paddle war data. Our slider range on this one is going to be anywhere between 0 and let's say we do want it to like miss the ball. So probably let's say like 30, 35. We don't want too much of it outside of the paddle space, so there's a larger percentage within the paddle, like 20 and below, and then 15 or 20 and above is sort of like a destination that will be outside of the paddle range. And we should actually make it negative, not 0. So we'll do, say, negative 35 to 35. We'll compile that. Save. Alright, so we're going to need to actually bind the paddles. So in our ball, we can just grab our game phase change binding and copy that. We'll come into our AI controller and paste. And compile. We're actually only going to want to really process the AI during a few different areas. So let's actually add the game state here. And we'll cast it to our paddle game state. Get this out of the way. Let's move this all down. And we'll come off here and get our phase. Get the game phase. We'll come off here and do our switch. Let's keep going here. Alright, so we'll go into there, we do our switch, and the ones that we want to connect to, oops, will be round starting, round started, and yeah, round starting and round started. That's really the only time that we want to process the AI. As when it's round starting, it will cause it to return to center, which I think is a little bit more like natural, because then it gives the AI a better chance to return that first random ball. Yeah, so we'll do that. And then, so we'll do a switch off of here. And when the round starts, we're going to create a random offset. And that offset can be a random float in range. And we'll say it's minus 35 to plus 35. Oh, actually, you know what? 35 is too much. It should actually be 20. Maybe 22. Not sure why I thought that was a good value. Math was off here. Okay, so we'll say minus 22 to 22. And then we will add a collision event. So let's add an actor event begin overlap. And if the other actor is the ball, so let's cast to the ball. Then what we're going to do is actually change our offset and make it something different. So let's see what happens now with the AI playing, as they should actually play kind of more realistically. You would think. Oh, we're not using the offset, we're just adjusting it. I gotta stop doing that, eh? I tell ya. Right, so we're gonna apply it to the Z basically before we start reading from it. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna say add float plus float. Z can go here, or I guess we'll put on the bottom one. Z can go there, and we're going to add our offset to it like that. Okay, so this should give us a little bit more realistic AI gameplay here. Okay. Kinda, you know what? We're gonna actually do the set on game started. Okay, so the gameplay of the AI is a lot more realistic now. The odds of missing are a lot higher. Now, the only thing that's a little weird about it is when the AI is playing, they both move together, like, completely. And so how do we solve that? And the way to solve that is we're only going to move if the ball's forward vector is not facing towards us. That is how we're going to do it. So, and otherwise, we're going to return to the center position. So, to accomplish that, and this is basically the last thing. Once we do this, we should have a pretty good Pong game. We just need to get the AI to not be doing the exact same thing at the exact same time all the time. So what we'll do to accomplish that is, since we're doing our targeting here, we have our ball instance here. So we're gonna get the forward vector. And we're going to get the forward vector from the pawn. And we are going to multiply them. And we'll do a break vector. Okay. This is what all that forward vector stuff was about that I was wanting to make sure that we did properly. Let's actually reverse these in a different order here. Not like that. Okay. So, if the result of this is positive, the ball is moving away from the paddle. If it's negative, it's moving towards it. So what we'll do is we're going to do a select float. Actually, we'll come off of this. We'll say select float. These are both going to go into here instead. And this one is going to go into pick B. Zero will be our sort of like resting position, so we'll head towards there. And then what we're going to check is if the forward vector is greater than 0. Sorry, greater than 0. And we're going to do that. So that should have it where they start to do different things. For some reason, only with one of them, though. Make sure their forward vectors are correct here. That one. That one. Oh, you know what? It's not supposed to be 0 for one. it should be the distance to 0, 0, 0. Right. So it should be like basically the same thing here. So we're going to take this and copy this. We'll paste this. Except instead of ball instance and get actor location, it's just going to be 0, 0, 0. Now to just make it so it doesn't just go always back to exactly center, let's actually give it like sort of a, we'll use the offset, and what we'll do is we'll just times it by 4. Or let's see. We'll times it by up to 10. Just to, sorry. Yeah, we'll times it. We want float by float. And we'll times it by 10. And basically add it to the offset of our resting position so that it looks a little bit more natural. So it'll look something like that. When the round starts, we want the paddles to return to center. So we'll actually, when we do the round starting, we're actually going to set our offset to 0. And that should fix that issue. Oh, okay. We still need to implement the score zone for player 1. Right. So let's do that. No wonder it's been so buggy. Of course it's been buggy. We don't have a player score zone. Only one player can score. Let's add our begin overlap. And we can literally just take all of this. Copy that. Throw it in our actor. Got that stuff. We got that stuff. And what we want is the player 1 score here. And we will also set player 1 score. There we go. This should work better now. Much better. I will just show you the completed project here. So this is what it looks like in the editor. And if we hit play, we're going to get our title screen and the game begins, and it starts in a demo mode. And 2 AI paddles start playing together. And this will happen and continue happening over and over and over until the player actually presses spacebar and opens or starts a new round in the game. So we can see the first one scored, and I'm going to hit spacebar now to actually enter the game and play myself. As you can see, it now resets. And now I'm playing. I'm the left paddle. See if I can score on the CPU here. Oh, you got me. Wanted to try to trick him, get something out of his range. Now every time the ball hits a paddle, it speeds up a little bit. And there's a few tricks in the AI code to make it behave a little bit more human-like, to make it a little bit more random, so it's not perfect. It's still pretty hard though. Oh, come on. There we go. And so, that was Pong. I really hope you enjoyed going through the project. If you have any questions, put them below. The source is linked in the description.